Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
So today we are doing a bit of a double feature, which we have not done in a while, which is called Waxwork.
No, Waxwork, no S on the end of it.
Which is released in 1980 and 88.
1988 was the first one.
And its sequel that came on DVD, not DVD, VHS release.
Direct to tape, yeah.
Direct to tape, which was released in 1992.
So the first one was called Waxwork, and the other one was Waxwork 2, Lost in Time.
Yes.
Both are comedy horrors.
Yes, they are comedy horrors. I mean, they're more comedy than horror when I think about these movies.
Well, yeah, of course.
Which is not too bad.
Especially the second one, it's really funny.
Anyway, it's worth a watch.
Yes.
Did you told me it took them not a great deal of time working on this script, I think?
Oh, I read something where they wrote the script in about 3 days or something or other.
Yeah, that's
which
what I mean.
shows.
Which shows.
No,
it does explain.
That's not fair. Wait a minute. Anyway, the script for the film was written by Hickok, he's the
director.
He wrote it and directed it. What's his first name? Anthony Hickok. In 3 days. Not bad.
Not bad for a filmmaker.
They were worried that it was going to be too similar to a movie called The Monster Squad. I don't believe I've seen that one.
I've seen that, but nothing like it.
No.
They
were concerned it might be too much like it.
It does dabble with using classical monsters from Universal, obviously, like Dracula, and let me see who else I'm thinking of. Wolfman, obviously, stuff like that. I won't mention anyone else because most of the time in this one it deals with other kinds of horror through history, because takes place in a wax museum, so technically it would be different decades here and there.
So anyway, here we go. Right. Who did what to whom? Here we go. Right.
And most of it could be really historic things too, not just fiction stuff.
Yeah, some was fictional, some was whatever and blah blah non-fiction. Okay, right. I'm going to rattle through both of them at the same time here. Okay, Waxwork 1 and Waxwork 2 were both written by Anthony Hickok. He wrote it and directed it. The first one was produced by Stefan Arenberg, and the second one was produced by Nancy Palowian. Okay, right. Now, I'm trying to get the names right here. Now the first one, I'll go into money here first. The first one was actually made as a cinema release. The second one was direct to a home videos market. So I don't know the figures on it. But unfortunately, this one Waxwork 1 cost 3.5 mil to make, and it made about 800,000 at the box office. However, it probably picks them up as home media. So tapes and stuff and different things like that. Now, the actors, the players, if you will. Okay, right. I won't go through all of them. There's a cast of thousands, a little bit like Cecil B. DeMille. But the main guy who shows up in both movies is a guy called Zach Galligan, plays Mark Loftmore. He's our lead guy. Becomes a bit of a hero in the second movie, that sort of stuff. But starts off a bit of a dweeb, but it's like a coming of age for him, hey?
Yeah,
that sounds good?
Yeah.
Now, I'll rattle off a couple of people in the first movie. Deborah Foreman plays Sarah Brightman. That's his girlfriend, I believe, or someone he's keen on anyway. Michelle Johnson plays China Webster. Dana Ashbrook plays Tony. Micah Grant plays Jonathan. Eric Brown plays James. Claire Carey plays Gemma. David Warner plays David Lincoln. He's like a bit of an antagonist type guy. And Patrick McNee plays Wilfred, who happens to be a very, very nice man who knows Mark's father from previous grandfather from previous encounters. I won't go through all the other ones after that.
Yeah, because most of
they're
them
a bit like bit roles and whatever.
Yeah.
Now, in the next movie, Zach Galligan reprises his role as Mark Lothmore, but his girlfriend is replaced by Monica Scanare, Schnarre. I think it's Scanare.
Yeah, and another character who becomes a bit of a show is the Patrick guy who rehashes his role as Sir Wilfred, obviously Wilfred.
Bit.
But mostly in a video cameo.
Yeah, video. That's all it was. But you say that doesn't make much difference. I won't mention the other people because most of these are a little bit of bit pieces here. But Patrick McNee does show up as not actually video, as a film. You get that Zach sees. Mark Lothmore, Mark sees, and it's telling him what to do next, sort of thing.
Oh yes, yeah. So I might as well get into the story itself.
Yeah, there's not much more to tell.
Yes,
about that. So, so both of them. That's both of them. So I won't have to do that later on. Do you want to tell? How are you going to do it? Just tell the whole story 1 and 2, or
the whole story as much as I can.
Yeah, 1 and 2.
So the first.
Tell them when it's changing from 1 to 2, though.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
So the first story, which it opens where a break-in where some people are stealing some artifacts from Mark's grandfather's house, and he gets killed, in the robbery.
How rude!
And then I guess years later, Mark is living with his mum, who is a total. He treats him like a little child.
Yes. No, you can't have coffee. He's about 16 or 17 years old going to college.
Yes. Hello. Doesn't need to drink milk. He needs the
juice and a nice little cereal. And on the way out the door, the butler gives him his coffee and a cigarette and everything else.
Everything.
Mum treats him like a baby. Or mum or grandma. Or who is it? Mum?
I would say, I think it's more mum. And considering that she comes from that wealthy class. Type people.
She's treating him like a little baby.
Anyway,
a bit rude.
So anyway, we then meet the rest of the cast. Sarah and China. China is his ex-girlfriend who they're going on a on-again, off-again relationship thing, and things are not procrastinating really well between them, obviously.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, the two girls are walking down to the streets and they see this wax museum that's called Waxwork, and they meet the owner named David Lincoln, who tells them about this special offer of going there at night, 6 passes or
they want 6 people they get let in to have a midnight showing.
Yes.
Aha.
Best offer you can ever think of. Not really.
It was free, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a free offer. Come on, guys. Yeah.
Yes. So later on, as they're in school, they all decide to go. Of course, 2 of them decide to ditch, obviously. So it's all about 4 people who attend. That would be Mark, Sarah, China, and Tony, I think it was.
Whatever.
Who start attending. And of course, the owner is not disappointed. He just lets them in with no issue whatsoever. Anyway.
See, he needs a head count, which comes out a bit later on. We'll tell you why in a minute.
So they head inside, and as they're browsing at the display, the mannequins or the wax figures look so realistic. Yeah, because no doubt they're real people, obviously, really holding deadly still.
Yeah, but the idea is the people who are drawn to these, they're like mesmerised by some of them, and they're encouraged to come nearer to the displays. What happened then?
Well, let me see. China goes up to a display. Well, before we get to China, Tony goes to a display, and the chain that separates you from the waxworks
just drops down,
and he steps into it and allows him to enter a world that looks where he's dressed differently and his hair is a different shade, different shape.
It's going back a couple of centuries too.
Yes. Anyway, he goes to this house. There he encounters a man who is actually a werewolf, and he gets attacked by some hunters, a Van Helsing type crowd.
Yeah, they come in there and dispatch him.
Yes, but fortunately, dear old Tony is gotten bitten and he
starts to change.
Starts changing, but fortunately he gets nicked by the hunters anyway.
So he gets shot. Now here's the funny part. Now
he's part of the display.
He part of the display with the long hair and the old period clothing.
Yes,
and with his fangs coming out, so he's changing into a display.
Yes.
Now you get the theme idea. Now
yes.
Everyone's going to be going for this sort of thing. But there's a reason for it.
Then later on, we see China looking at another display of a Dracula figure. So the chain breaks off, and she steps in, dressing in a medieval, nice white gown.
Yeah.
There, she meets this strange man who's a vampire thingy-wing, and invites her to tea or dinner. And as she's eating, she thinks it's steak tartare. Well,
no, it's a boyfriend's leg.
And she finds out that he's keeping a man, supposedly her fiance, according to the story.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Because according to this, it's like everything about these worlds has got a story attached to it, and the people who enter these wax thingy wings, they sort of either start developing amnesia or have no clue of how they entered this world, obviously, or they kind of immerse themselves into the role, obviously. Anyway, they have no clue that what they're experiencing is just magic.
Yeah, magic and illusion.
Yes. Anyway, she eventually gets bitten by the Dracula figure, and she becomes part of the display.
So Dracula's on the stairs there by himself, and all of a sudden he has a body under him, laying down there in a prostate form, who had been a victim of his fatal charms, as it were.
Mark searches the museum top to bottom, but he doesn't find anyone there.
Oh, and he's told, they're gone home?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Sarah is the last one there, and she was mesmerized by the monkey of...
Marquis de Sade.
Sort of a satanic, not satanic, a sadist type.
A sadistic man who liked torturing people for sexual gratification, I believe it was.
Yeah, with women especially. Anyway, so they leave, and of course as they leave, he phones both both China and Tony's homes or their dorms. Who knows? Considering they're living in college,
yeah, they're not all living in college.
I know.
He phoned around and they weren't there.
Yes, and of course he goes to the police, and the police interrogate him, thinking you must have done something with them because you were dating China and she was dating some other guys, and you must have done something. Maybe you may have taken her body and thrown it into the lake or something. But he decides to go to the Wax Museum to see if something happened there. Of course, while he's there, he notices that some of these wax figures resemble people who are missing. Not just the Chris, China, and Tony. Some other people. Like there's one with from Jack the Ripper. Another one, obviously.
Yeah.
And it starts, even though he doesn't say anything to Mark, he just says that they leave it to the professionals. Blah blah blah. And of course, he goes there. The detective returns there much later on with his partner. His partner stays in the car while he goes exploring, and there he goes across the already waxworks of the Dracula one, obviously, and of course when he goes over it, you don't see him enter that world, meaning the whatever they've done in that particular waxwork has already been done.
Yeah.
So he kind of he tries to examine the mannequins. Of course, you see a bit of wax, but then he starts peeling it away and seeing a little bit of...
It looks like tissue.
It's
hard to tell. It looked like tissue.
Human tissue.
Yeah.
And he takes it out an evidence bag and puts the tissue in there. But as he's about to leave, he knows he is looking at the Egyptian thing, and he kind of, I guess, enters it. And there he meets... archaeologists, I don't know who, does not matter at this point. It's not Howard Carter as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, soon enough, this mummy arrives, and him and a lady who was also the archaeologist get thrown into the sarcophagus. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yes, and they
put the lid back on it.
Yes, and they die because there's a snake that's coming out, and probably bite them both.
Bitten by an asp, very dangerous.
And so they become sort of the part of the display, if you can call it.
Or inside the sarcophagus, however,
Yes. Anyway, so Mark, he kind of works out that this David Lincoln he develops a deja vu, like he knows him from somewhere. So he gathers Sarah and takes her to the attic of his own home, obviously. There he shows her a newspaper clipping of the same man.
An old newspaper clipping.
Indicating this was taken many, many years ago.
It hasn't changed a bit.
Yes. He decides to talk to his grandfather's best friend, a Sir Wilfrid, who is also a collector of art stuff, artifacts and stuff, and knows a little bit about this stuff. And of course, he tells them about how him and his grandfather, they collected stuff over the years, and this David Lincoln, he started collecting stuff, but he also was dabbling in the dark arts.
Dark arts. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and he hopes to possibly, if he gets 18 or 16 people...
I think he has to get 16 or 18 people to join these dioramas where these figures are.
Yes.
It creates a ritual spell to bring them to life.
Yes.
How's that?
In return, he gets immortality, even though he's already immortal already, but he still has to pay the piper by paying the devil.
He needs the spirits of these people in there to make it work. Yeah.
Yes. And once he gets these people together, they come to life and they probably roam the earth, destroying it.
Yes.
Yes.
Not very nice,
Not so good. Anyway, it's up to Mark now. So he and Sarah, they go back to the museum that night, carrying a few canisters to hope to burn the displays before they could get their final 2 people they need, obviously.
Yep.
They have, of course, both David Lincoln, he pushes them into the displays, obviously, but Mark works it out that he starts realizing that as long as he realizes that this is not real, it
can't hurt you.
It can't hurt you. So he finally finds the entrance, because I imagine when you're entranced by the whole illusion of the whole thing, then then it's working. The magic is working on you. Of course, if you see through it, like. It can't
touch you. It's like ghosts can't hurt you because they're not solid.
He's trapped inside a zombie type, neither living dead type scenario, if you will. And he works it out, and eventually was able to get through it. And eventually he goes into the one that Sarah is in. She's in the monkey one I've told you about. And here
the marquee, not the monkey.
The monkey.
Marquee.
And he's whipping her like it was.
And she was enjoying it. She was getting sexual gratification and being punished.
Yes.
Very nice.
Not really. Especially if you're into that whole 50 Shades of Grey stuff.
Yeah, okay, we're not doing that one.
No. Anyway, luckily enough, Mark was able to convey the fact to Sarah that this isn't real, and that she does not want to be whipped and killed.
She was under
an enchantment.
An enchantment to make her wanted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, she finally realizes that Mark is speaking the truth, and they quickly get to the door.
And they jump out of the diorama, and they're back in the museum again.
Of course, both David Lincoln realizes that these 2 are useless. So he takes them aside while 2 of their friends that came into the museum that were coming in eventually come in, and they sort of take the place of those particular scenes, and they both, a few minutes later, you see they have become part of the
displays, and all of a sudden,
rumble,
all these guys start coming to life.
Of course,
Dracula and Werewolf,
as Mark and Sarah are about to flee, David remarks, "You cannot run," meaning that this whole world is doomed, according to him.
And
but
all of a sudden,
bam! Wilfred and a few other people,
the village people,
arrived there, and including Mark's butler, who seems to know a bit about what's been going on.
Yes.
I mean, I think that
he would have known what his dad was up to. Yeah,
Wilfred knew this day was coming, so he knew that him and a few of loyal followers must try to stop David Lincoln, seed his plans. So they organize a lynch mob and start killing these creatures.
Yeah, big fight and everything.
It was a big fight, and of course they eventually kill the creatures best they can. Most of them take
some of the human beings die too. Yeah.
Yes, and throughout the haste,
fair,
Mark was able to kill the whatever his name is, and eventually when he finally confronts David Link about, doing this sort of thing, he eventually gets shot by Wilfred. Of course, he gets taken out by the werewolf and told...
werewolf takes Wilfred's head off and decapitates him. Very nice.
And soon enough, our two little kids, they quickly flee, of course, the scene.
Yeah, something happens that a house falls down or something.
The house peels down, it goes down.
Yeah, I think because of all the psychic energy and everything, it starts to shatter the place and different things. And
as they're heading out, we see a hand protruding off out of the dirt surface.
And I thought it was Thing, the Addams family, but no, it was a cut off hand of somebody. Yeah.
Yes, and then we fade out in that movie, and that's the end of the first movie.
Wait a minute, not quite. The hand's coming out of the rubble.
Yes.
And Mark and Sarah
flee, as I said.
Leaving in a taxi, but the hand comes after them and hits a ride on the taxi.
That came much into the sequel. I was going to bring that into it. You said yourself. I had to bring that part.
Yeah, well, it follows them anyway.
Anyway, now we're moving into the sequel one.
Sequel? Number 2,
which is called Waxworks 2 Lost in Time.
And that's an appropriate name too.
And in this one, they kind of are traveling in time, and they're trying to find...
They're going from reality to reality, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like little portals and stuff.
Yeah, from paranoid to weird stuff, including some really weird stuff like something out of movies like Alien and Godzilla and stuff like that.
Godzilla, Alien, what else I had?
Let me see. There's also The Haunting, I think.
The Haunting, the original version, also the remake.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know, folks.
It doesn't matter. Same story. It's really, really good. So it had all these little things coming. Oh, no, I know that movie. Oh, I've got that. It's quite funny, actually. But,
Anyway, it's a bit hilarious. Anyway, so I'll move into that story. So in this one, we kind of continue off where we left off, where Mark and Sarah, they escaped the museum and get into a taxi, while the little hand starts crawling after them and clinging to the taxi with good luck.
Thank you, Thing.
And of course, Mark remarks that they should just try to forget what has happened and it's all over. Sarah returns to her home where she lives with this abusive stepfather, I think it is, and as she's getting ready...
He was a very nice man anyway.
Yeah, as she's getting ready to bed, her father gets attacked by the severed hand, and she tries to fight it off and stuffs it down the
incinerator, the garbage disposal thing. Yeah.
But of course, it doesn't end there for her, because it turns out she gets accused of her father's murder, and of course and
no one believes
her about the hand and the wax figure, and the fact that the severed hand is gone from this picture. There's no evidence to tie the whole incident to the wax museum. And anyway, so they head off and they go to Sir Wilfred's house to probably find any answers there, obviously. And there's a tape, or a bit of a recording, I should say, where on a projector, where Wilfred explains, "I'm dead and you're not." So
if you're seeing this, obviously I'm dead and you're not. And,
yes, and it's obviously
very tongue-in-cheek stuff.
Yes, and obviously he goes on to explain that if you need. I see that you might be in trouble, so I'll give you some advice about he goes on to explain a bit about Alice in the Looking Glass.
Follow Alice through the Looking Glass or something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
They couldn't figure out what he's talking. He's talking in riddles. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I guess it's two people in case if it's not his not Mark, then if it's the wrong person, they probably won't understand his riddle, would it?
Well, I don't know.
Anyway, luckily enough, Sarah works it out through this chessboard that has the Alice in Wonderland.
Well, it didn't work it out.
Figures.
He's sitting in front of the mirror and says, "How does it work?" And she sees a figure of Alice on this chessboard, so she picks it up.
Yes.
It's a switch. The thing in the chessboard rises up.
Yes.
And as it rises up, the mirror activates and they walk through it.
Yeah, they then head in there, and there is a lot of artifacts in this room. Like most of it's different types of eras, stuff like that. And there amongst the items is a special compass device that allows you to enter worlds.
It shows you where the portals are to go through the doors to go home and go where else. Yeah.
Yes, to activate it, they have to use the mirror they enter to as a way of a portal to get in there. Of course, they both get in there, but as they're heading inside it, they kind of separate in.
Yeah, and holding hands, and they're falling down a bit like Alice in the Wonderland going down the rabbit hole, and Bill and Ted.
Yes.
They go to hell, and they get separated, and he ends up in one place and she ends up in another place. So they meet up a bit.
Yeah, I won't go into bore you into what places they go to because it's not.
She ends up being Ripley and Alien and different things, and he does something else.
He's in the haunting,
and
they find. I think that let me see. I think the first one was actually they were in I think Frankenstein's, Dr. Frankenstein's house, and Mark is a butler at Francois, I think, I'm not sure, and Sarah was Elizabeth, Frankenstein's wife, I think.
That's right. Yes.
And of course,
she didn't recognise initially.
She has no memory, at least something to do with the compass that allows you to maintain your memories.
He had the compass in his hand, so he was aware of what was going on, and she became part of the story. Yeah.
Anyway, so luckily enough, he was able to convey this fact to her that she's not Elizabeth, whatever her name is. She is Sarah, obviously. And of course, we see the creature, and he tries to help the creature, giving him proper food and stuff. And of course,
it's like feeding a stray dog.
Of course, when the townspeople came, they start trying to kill the creature and kill Dr. Frankenstein for bringing a creature to life that should not be happening.
Exactly.
Luckily enough, they found the door that allows them to go into the next area, obviously. But we then learn when they go through these doors through the compass, they're going through not real worlds, in fact, when you think about
illusions or whatever.
It's more not real worlds, but it's more of a battlefield between good and evil.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
And each world they go to is different.
They have to be part of it and battle the evil demons or whatever, or the naughty people or whatever it's going to be. Yeah.
So each world is a little different. Like some of them, like the world that Sarah goes to, which is like Alien, which would probably not be a real world. And the same with the world that where Mark goes to. That's sort of like Godzilla, which I don't think would be real.
Yeah. Oh no.
Anyway, in this next one, he is in the haunting world because they got separate at this point, and she's in the future, the aliens world. I mean, the alien movie world, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's helping. I think it's some ghost explorers trying to find out about some ghosts inside this house. It has some really good shots. It's in black and white. They have a few black and white shots to make it look like
the old 60s movie. Yeah.
Yes. It gets really interesting, and of course
they did it quite nicely, actually.
Of course, once Mark works out the whole ordeal in that world, he was able to find the next the next door because because the compass was not working at the time. I think it was trying to imply you have to do something before you go into the next world.
Now, I'm glad you said that because I read up some notes on this. Mm-hmm. That little locket compass thing he's got was actually an artifact that angels were supposed to be able to use to travel through time and different dimensions and stuff, and he was using it. Now, what he has to do in each location is to defeat the evil guys, because if he doesn't defeat them there will be something similar happening on Earth.
Yeah.
So he's controlling things like being a Time Lord, like Doctor Who, if you like.
Yeah. So he was able to find stuff, but most of the time he lost it. Like he had the Frankenstein's notebook, but he lost it. And let me see, what was the next thing? He also found some other artifacts when he goes to Sarah at last, which was a mixture of things, including, I think he said something about that he lost Dr. Frankenstein's notebook when he was with the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, bugger, Nessie, yeah.
Anyway, he finally did arrive there, and of course they face this creature that's like alien, not its twin sister or anything like that, but quite a different, like very cutting edge, very cool, very good makeup effects, or not really makeup effects, more like prosthetics anyway. So they kill it and they continue on to the next world, which is a medieval type world next, obviously. And this one, of course, in this world, he's this is a medieval one, so they have to avoid a evil sorcerer who is a lord who is trying to he's trying to access some power so he can become the king of King at the time, and try to marry his sister, which is Sarah in this time, to him, obviously, so he can rule England and have her.
He casts a spell and he takes the place of the king, so it's technically two guys look like the king.
Of course, we get Wilfred arrives there in a sort of glamour form of a raven, and he also meets. And he also meets an old beggar who turns out to be Mark's grandfather in disguise, meaning maybe before the whole incident, him and Wilfred kind of knew about the events that was taking place, so they kind of expected Mark to appear there. So they planned this in advance, considering that they kind of were dabbling with magic and beyond your explanation. And he gives Mark this sword and told him to know what to do with it.
Yes, there you go.
Anyway, so there may have been also jumping through time too at the time, and kind of bumped into Mark, here and there. Anyway, soon enough, Mark tries to save Sarah at this time, and of course, he gets caught by the sorcerer, and he's forced to go to the dungeon. There, Wilfred saves him in his raven form by telling him about how these worlds, they don't exist in reality, obviously, and the fact that this whole compass thing was for angels, blah blah blah, and the fact that this was a battleground for good versus evil, and each battlefield and this is sort of the center of the battlefield, the most when you think about it. So anyway, it's up to Mark to try to stop this attempt at getting the sorcerer to become the king, obviously, and replacing the king, because he's going to look like him in every detail, but at the same time, the real king probably might get assassinated.
Well, once he changes places, probably going to assassinate him.
Yes. So quickly, Mark releases the prisoners in there, and he goes to the king's knights and tells them about the fact that there was a plot about to replace the king. And they
check in a little bit, and they find out he's telling the truth.
They discover the king bound and gagged in another room, and they soon work it out that this guy that's pretending to be the king is not who he is.
He's Scarabus, something or whatever.
Yeah, Scarabus, the sorcerer. Anyway, soon enough, the knights and the townspeople, not townspeople, the prisoners, they start attempting to get even with these sorcerers.
Fight the naughty guys.
Yes.
So they become unwilling heroes.
Yes. So luckily enough, they win, and of course, as Sarah and Mark, they realize that the only way to get to their world is through the mirror, a mirror.
Yeah, they've used a mirror instead of an ordinary portal.
Yes, because
they'll be able to go home.
Because the portals, they will only just take you to
another area.
Oh, I should mention that when he's fighting the what's-he-face, end up going through different portals, different times.
Yeah, that's quite funny actually. Yeah. We won't go into them. That's a fun bit. You have to see for yourself.
Of course, when he does find another zombie hand, luckily enough, in a Dawn of the Dead situation, which makes me think of that when I think of it. And he ends up cutting it off and taking it back with him, of course. And eventually, when they do go back to that to the mirror, obviously when he meets up with Sarah, there was only room for one of them.
Yeah, it was a lot smaller, and there's only room for one person to go through it. So he puts her through.
Yeah, he tells her to, gives her the hand, and he stays behind. And as she heads back to her time, she notices a portrait that she noticed earlier that turns out to be
a picture
Mark
of Mark
in the past,
dressed as a knight.
Meaning he.
Yeah, do you remember? Is it in Timeline?
Yes.
The movie? How that guy stayed back in the past, he stayed for the princess.
Yes.
And they found that archaeological dig, and that was his figurine. Yeah. Same idea.
So now Mark stayed behind, became a knight, and that's his story. Anyway, she goes to court, brings the hand, and of course she's convicted of the crimes of that were later.
It wasn't convicted.
Not convicted. She was acquitted of the crimes that were later.
Because she had proof that maybe your story is true.
Yes.
There's a hand walking around in a little fish tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
As she's heading out the door, meteor is circling her, and a man approaches her, holding a delivery man, telling her, who we saw it at the beginning, who seemed to be aware of what's happening, and he hands her a package, and she opens it and sees that it's the compass with the note that's written year-old English that says join me.
Yeah.
So Mark is telling her to come to the period that he was.
So somehow or other he got this package to the real world and left the message to be delivered to her on that particular day at the court hearing or whatever. And the man delivered it, and then she got the package, and she goes, and she gets into a taxi, and then poof, and then you see a bit of a flash of light from the taxi, so she's used it, and she's gone,
yes.
How she went through there, through the cab's mirror, I've got no idea how she got out of the cab.
But maybe they used the what's that little mirror that you...
The cosmetic mirror, but you've got to be able to walk through it. Hello?
Oh, good point.
But
anyway,
doesn't matter.
Maybe it doesn't matter at this point.
It's really cool.
It's pretty cool, and I thought the fact in the movie was an interesting approach, even though it took us away from the intentional story of the wax museum thing to different dimensions type of thing. But maybe that's what the director wanted. He wanted to take his characters to new worlds, no explanation needed whatsoever.
Somewhat. Anyway.
But I thought it was pretty cool. The whole idea
of... It's a good fun movie. It's good to have a fun... When you get someone who says, hey, here's a comedy horror, or whatever it's going to be, it's really nice to have some real comedy in it. Sometimes saying a one-liner here and there does not make it a comedy. Okay, this movie, if you sit back and look at it, it's funny, especially the second one. I like the second one better than the first movie.
Of course.
It's good. It's good fun, Yeah.
Of course, in this one, the second one, the creatures in those worlds, they can hurt you. Before in the second one, in the second one, the first one, they didn't hurt you so much. Except for when they came to life, that's a different story. That's different.
Anyway, so there you go then.
Yes, it's an awesome movie. They're both actually awesome movies. They don't. lag on like some ones that just tell you, oh, we'll just sit around until we actually examine this item until we're actually sure we should go through time and space.
Nah, let's do it.
Let's just do it. Let's throw hell to the winds and just jump.
Let's jump. Yeah, let's jump into the fire.
Yeah, unlike these days movies where they just think, we'll just sit on it, we'll wait a couple of more months.
We'll analyse it, then we'll do a white paper on it, and maybe in 2 or 3 years' time we'll use it. No.
Yes, but then again, they also had that they were on a bit of a time. Time was an issue because they had, if they didn't do it, then the fact you lose your audience interest, but also the fact that in the second movie they didn't have enough time to just sit around and wait. Because she's got a trial, she might go to jail for killing her father.
Probably.
And stuff like that. Anyway, I thought it was a good take, and the fact that they did find evidence that magic was real, and all the things that happened to her were real, obviously.
Well, they couldn't disprove it, so they said, well, if in doubt, you're innocent, kid. Walk. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, of course, this Sarah in this one is a different actress.
No, she's a different actress, but she did a very good job. Yeah.
I guess I think she had some other stuff on at the same time too.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she wanted to reprise the role, Sarah.
Maybe.
You'll do that too. You know, she says, "I don't want to do that." I've gone. It's like that movie Tremors, with Kevin Bacon was in it.
Yeah.
After the movies, years later, he thought, I wish I didn't do those movies because he thinks that held his career back a little bit. I don't think so. I thought a damn funny, good, nice action, slightly comedy thing.
Considering the fact he only did one movie and then after that it turned into its own franchise.
Yeah, but the point still remains.
With Michael Gunn as
the
lead
point
cutter.
is, he made the movie, and it's a good movie. But
Well.
some people walk away from things which are quite good.
Well,
anyway, irrespective. We're not talking about him. We're talking about this. What else can we say about it?
Good point.
Okay. Anthony Hickox, the guy actually wrote it. I believe he was English.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Or wrote it for an English-styled script. But they Americanised the text of the script so that people could say the lines easier and make it more relative. So that's an interesting thing you don't hear very often in our notes.
Except for him, I don't know any other, aside from a lot of mainstream filmmakers who decide not to do a sequel or choose not to. It's interesting that such a filmmaker like that would just go ahead and make a sequel.
Especially after the first one took a nosedive. So I don't know how much it made in the home market.
Good point.
Because, I mean, it had, $3.5 million to make it. They made $800,000 at the box office. You'd like to think you sold a few VHS tapes back in those days to recoup your cost. Well, maybe syndication on TV would have paid something back as well.
Probably.
And different things. I don't
That's
know.
why syndication in TV could still give you some money guarantee.
Did around the world TV stations, they pay licensing fees and different things. So whatever. Anyway, what I was going to say is, do you want to grade it?
Yes, we might.
We'll grade
should
them
we
together.
rate them separately or should
I will
together?
make comments. I do believe the second film, to me, I liked it better, but the first movie's good. They're both good.
Yeah,
but I like the fun going from different movie ideas like Alien and other things, which are, that's funny. Yeah, it's really good there. But they're both good movies. They were done as independent movies. They're not top of the pile, but they're a good fun watch. So I'm going to put them together as about 8.5.
I'm going to give them 8.5 myself, obviously.
There you
I
go.
think it's pretty cool, especially the fact when they took something that they would have considered either trashing or not really trashing. I mean, like, we've seen wax museum movies in the past.
We've been to one down here at the Gold Coast a couple of years ago.
I meant for movies I was referring to. Like, we watched wax museum
Oh, yeah, we're talking about real
movies.
ones, and they can be creepy.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
But unlike the ones we went to, of course, that one just had historic figures in it, which it's not like the Draculas, the werewolf type things.
Well, you got limited space and limited budget, so they have whatever. Yeah,
it's mostly just just to dive into history, like if you were going to a history museum.
Not like in the Waxworks and House of Wax or whatever,
where they just
with Vincent Price and Lionel Atwell. When they did that story there, they used they had historical figures, but also security ones as well. They were good fun. And what else? Who other one? We saw Dracula, Son of Dracula. Mm-hmm. The one of Harry Nilsson in it, a musical one, and that had Frankenstein and Wolfman and different other people in their displays and whatever. And but they actually came to life. Actually,
it would be nice if they could make it a little bit, add a few fictional ones.
That would be good.
From like the Wolfman, the Dracula. The ones we had here they just come off as.
They come up for good, but you like the shock horror thing as well.
I mean, they don't look really realistic.
They do look realistic, but you're not getting scared as much as you should be. You'd like to, yeah.
I mean, I suppose.
That's why they look real, but
But they look like just ordinary mannequins when I look at them.
They didn't look like ordinary. They look real, but the point is, you were looking for something scary instead of life dioramas of different people and different things.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
whatever.
So, anyway, as I was saying, now I'm getting back on subject.
Oh,
You've seen. Now I'll talk about the Waxwork movies. Obviously, the Wax Museum type movies. They've been and gone. Like the ones from Vincent Price's day, and the one that was done years ago were pretty good. And such items like that, they either come and go, and sometimes they either grab you. And never let you go.
If they grab you when you're in there, you've got trouble,
you got a story.
Yeah.
But if it's just like another one where it deals with psychopath going around killing people, that's...
Because actually there was, I think Twilight Zone had an episode where a guy used to work in a waxwork, so I'm going to close it down. So he brought some of the figures home. To look after them, and he went a bit crazy. He thought they're coming to life, and he killed his wife and tried to blame the dummies, the mannequins for it. Oh yeah. Then he became one of the displays. Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm not sure if that. I don't think Tourist Trap would be a mannequin. I mean, a waxwork.
They did have some, but not much. No,
that was more to do with mannequin stuff.
Not not actually wax figures. No. Anyway, where do you get it?
Yeah, where do you get it?
Well, aren't you lucky, guys? It's available. It's really funny when you get these older movies which are independents and stuff. You think, it's going to be hard to get. Surprisingly not. eBay has both available for sale. You can actually get a dual set, 1 and 2, or individual ones. Amazon, you can rent them, either that or you can buy them. Same, together or separate. It's not expensive, but be very careful. Being an old, you're going to have VHS hiding around, maybe the odd laser disc. So have a look. Make sure you get the right ones. Now, having said that, Waxwork Film, not Waxworks, okay, but it's called Waxworks Collection, which is the 2 movies, so be careful there. But there's also an old 1924 silent movie where that was the inspiration from to actually write the story, and that's called Waxwork. So it's not the same one. So when you go there, check the date. If you're not sure about the date, it was written by Anthony Hickox, written and directed by him, and the main star is Zach Galligan. Use those as reference points and you can't go wrong.
Right.
Can't think of anything else to say on this matter.
I mean, I do think it's interesting when such a movie that's a passion project or an independent project.
I mean, if I was going to write a movie now, I don't know what I'd write, but if I got my teeth, pardon the pun, into something like this, it would be fun. Because you say, what can we do? What sort of funny things? What scary things? Put a jump scare there, and monkey around with it. It'd be so much fun if you got a budget to play with. Yeah,
it's interesting how comedy horror is like making a comeback, you know, a little bit slightly.
Oh.
Using such elements like from the like a lot of people may not like them now, but I like to think they'll turn into cult classics years to come when you think about it. Like
Probably.
the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey will become a cult classic whether you like it or not.
Something like that.
And
yes.
the same with a lot of other ones, like Terrifier will probably become a cult classic one of these days, just like all the rest of the 80s ones that became really sharp and really edgy and cool. And I mean, we just need to wait for a while. I'm sure it'll develop a very big fan base. I'm sure that Terrifier has definitely not failed in that.
I like
respect.
Terrifier.
It's probably gained a massive fan base.
That's what I like, clowns. Clowns.
And imagine, I heard that the third movie might be coming out very soon, so we may check that out very soon.
Aha. There you go. You want to say goodbye to the people?
All right. Thanks for listening to our latest podcast, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you might check out the movies that we lined out for you on this podcast. Nice. So let us know in the comments what you guys think of these movies we talked about, and I hope that you may please, you know, message us about any movies you may want us to review in the future. I don't want a silent message. I'm not... Ribbit. Okay.
Or a thumbs up or something. Yeah,
or a thumbs down.
Or a thumbs up. Yeah, a couple of words would be nice.
Don't be a chicken, folks.
Well, hey, the first time we did a podcast, he was nervous as hell. He was.
Yeah.
And I had to edit all the ums and ahs and stutters and everything. Because, and then after a couple of weeks, it was like second nature, wasn't it?
Exactly.
It was.
So anyway, no, please, guys, do not, as I stressed in the past, do not just send a comment because, like,
a thumbs up or an avatar or something,
just a simple message that just says something that does not make sense. I keep getting messages comments where people keep saying it's nothing about the movie; they just say something ridiculous. Anyway, if you guys got a comment, please make sure it's a comment about the movie.
Or if you want us to review something.
Ask us to review something. It will be appreciated, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
I would like to get Sarah. Well, I think Sarah's come around to my way of thinking about doing some older films as well. We did one the other day. What's he?
Yes, we did. Anyway.
Yeah, so we're going to do some more classic-y ones.
Yes. Anyway, that's about it from us, guys. So I hope you guys have a good, week, and we'll see you guys for our next one, obviously, which I think would probably be the Beetlejuice sequel movie.
Yeah. Well, we might have a guest for that, do we?
Yes, we will see, folks.
If he comes, we might have three people having a chat, or I might step down and he can have a chat. Yeah.
All right. That's about it from us, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. This is Sarah Stephenson.
And Michael.
Saying see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now, and have a good week.
Bye, guys.